This episode is presented by the Visit Cedar City Brian Head Tourism Bureau. Discover the art of adventure at Utah's gateway to the parks. Cedar City is within a few hours' drive from 6 different national parks and monuments, and only 30 minutes from fresh snow at Brian Head Resort. Check out visitcedarcity.com to plan your next trip. This episode is sponsored by the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center, dedicated to supporting local businesses and entrepreneurs. It provides resources and services aimed at fostering business creation, growth, and retention. The center features the Makerspace, where entrepreneurs and small businesses can have access to 3D printers, video production, and photography equipment, t-shirt printing, and more. Whether you're starting a new venture or looking to expand an existing one, the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center offers the tools and guidance to help you succeed. To learn more and get involved, visit innovationcenter.cc. Hello and welcome to another episode of Explore Local Podcast, presented by Visit Cedar City Brian Head in partnership with Cedar City Iron County Economic Development. This is produced by Dallas Smith Media, and I'm your host, David Johnson, Economic Development Director for Cedar City and Iron County. All right, and welcome to the Explore Local Podcast. Today we have Kade Bryant with Brian Head Ice and the General Store in up by Brian Head Town, right?
Yeah.
I always want to say Brian Head Resort, but I know the town isn't synonymous necessarily with the resort, but that's how a lot of people know Brian Head.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So you're the owner, right, of both the ice rink there and the General Store.
Yeah.
Do you want to just kind of give a little description about it and how long you've owned the place and what you've been doing?
Sure. Yeah. So we're located at what's called the Brian Head Mall. Me and my brother, or my business partner, we purchased it in December of 2020. We built an ice rink next to the mall there, north of the mall, just to elevate the town's appearance and give something for people to do in the evenings. But we also own the General Store that's inside of that mall. And there's several great restaurants and other businesses that lease from us there in Brian Head. So the General Store is not only grocery, but it also has, the largest selection of souvenirs in town.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So are you from the area originally, or how'd you find yourself in Brian Head?
I've snowboarded there my whole life. I'm from Southern Nevada, so in like Logandale, Moapa Valley. And I've kind of took business in other places and worked some other jobs for several years. But in December of 2020, my brother, who his in-laws were part owners previously of the building, we kind of saw opportunity where they wanted to get out of it. And so he called me. He's like, "Hey, I have a business adventure. Do you want to jump on with me?" And he had that idea of, let's build an ice rink next door, because it's just going to elevate the town and bring more people into the building. And so we built the ice rink, and we did it all within a couple of months. Like from the time that he had the idea and the time that the ice rink was built and the building was purchased was probably only about 2.5 months.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's very picturesque. If you go online, you have a Facebook page and a website, right? And,
sure.
What an interesting thing to do, to say, I understand why, because it's picturesque. It kind of fits for using the hip term of the kids, it fits the vibe of the town, I would say, it just, but there's a lot of costs involved in setting something up like that, right? And you said you did it in a couple months. Like, don't you got to get one of those, what do they call them, a Zamboni or something, the little machines? Tell about that. Like, how did you just, let's just do an ice rink? Because if it were me that says, let's just do an ice rink, it'd be like, flatten out this with a rake and pour with a hose. I think that's what most people think of, but it's a lot more work than that, right?
Yeah. Both me and my brother, we both have history in Cedar City. So when he saw this opportunity, he had already known that this ice rink in Cedar City, the previous ice rink in Cedar City had shut down. So when we knew that, we thought, well, maybe there's equipment available. And so we actually reached out to Staley West, who used to run that ice rink here in Cedar City, and they still had their Zamboni, which interestingly enough, that Zamboni was previously used in the St. George ice rink before it shut down.
Oh, really?
Our Zamboni it's like a 1970 model.
It's beautiful.
So who knows where it's been before St. George, but before it was with us, it was in Cedar, and before Cedar it was in St. George. And so we acquired all their ice skates, their Zamboni, and we built everything else by hand.
Really?
Because it's naturally frozen. We don't have chillers under the ice like an ice rink that you would see in any other town, especially an indoor rink. And so it's completely naturally frozen. So we constructed a fence, around a few islands of trees and kind of made it a unique shape. Yeah. And every year we'll lay a really, really big tarp inside that fence and fill it with water about 8 inches thick and let it freeze solid.
Wow, that's cool. So is it just like on a parking lot, open property, or?
It's on our property.
Just like empty portion of the lot on your property or something?
It was mostly cleared when we purchased the land, but the town wanted us to keep as many trees as we could. And so that's why when you look at our images, or if you've visited it, the ice rink, you'll see these islands of trees in the middle that are lit up with Christmas lights, which we're thankful that the town gave us that pushback to keep the trees, because it ends up being, like you said, like picturesque or Instagram worthy to be able to get a picture there. It's super pretty. So if it was just an oval, like an average rink, it probably wouldn't be as attractive. Yeah. Those,
the nightscape with those trees, and they're tall trees. I mean, what are they like? One of them's probably got to be like 40, 50 feet.
I think the tallest one's 40 feet.
Okay.
To put the lights in, we have a 35-foot extension ladder, and I'll stand on the top ring of that extension ladder.
Put your life on the line. There you go. That's great. Yeah, no, it's really cool just watching some of the videos. Those trees, they're basically just look like Christmas trees, clusters, a couple different clusters of trees that are lit up right in the middle of the ring. People are figure eighting around them and everything. We really need to partner up with some of the film industry in the area and say, hey, come do a movie here or something, right? That's what it reminds me of. And we're talking about the holiday lights with Cedar City that happens. People always mention how it's like a Hallmark movie, and I think this just continues to complement that sentiment that people have about Cedar City and Iron County and the area and Bryan Head. And what they have to offer, not just locals, but tourism. So previously I had helped a friend of mine in his Christmas light business up in Salt Lake. So I kind of had some experience in hanging Christmas lights and trees up in the Park City and Salt Lake City area. And when we built the ice rink and I lit the trees, I didn't think about it until after we lit the trees our first year. I looked around and I was like, these are the only Christmas lights in all of Bryan Head. Oh, and wow, so really? It was very interesting, at least in like the commercial aspect of Christmas. Sure. So I think maybe a few cabins maybe had them, but it was interesting. And so since then it's been fun to work with some town council members in Bryan Head, and we've been able to put a Christmas light committee together. And now you'll see that we have some of the biggest Christmas trees in all of southern Utah. So right across from the rink, I was able to help the town install and sponsor four trees that are all from anywhere from 60 to 90 feet tall. Oh, really? Wow.
So that complements the rink as well. So I just brought that up just because of that Cedar City Christmas light montage, and now we are on that map. Yeah. So if you look at the Cedar City map of, they tell you like where the best spots of Christmas lights are. They have Bryan Head on that map. So. Oh, really? That's cool. I didn't even realize that. You know, one thing that I found interesting that you said was, and this is sometimes hard for
businesses and business owners in general, where sometimes the city pushes back on certain things because, they have some long range planning, or maybe the elected officials have a vision for something, or whatever it is. Sometimes the hardest part about being a business owner is not necessarily working with the city, but is sometimes connecting the vision that the city has with what you have as a business owner, right? And so I found that interesting that you said that you found that it turned out to be kind of a good thing, that you got a little bit of that pushback. And so I'm picking your brain a little bit about that. So kind of tell me a little bit about that process and how working together with the town, you were able to come up with something like you mentioned that sounds like better than probably what your original vision was.
Yeah. As far as the ice rink, it happened so fast that we didn't have to really have much pushback with the town. They just had a few requests, like leave some trees, and a couple of other things, but they were very lenient and accepting of us coming into town. It was a really great invite and reception from the town, the government of the town specifically. But as we've progressed, we've had other projects. Currently on the mall itself, we're planning a 9,000 square foot addition, and cool. We've started phase 1 of that. And there has been pushback. And I think some of that, even though the town was super receptive of me and my brother as new business owners in the town, they still didn't know us. And so they maybe didn't know what our intentions were. Do we have good intentions or bad intentions? And it's been interesting to finally, align ourselves with the town. And I think that they know our intentions are to benefit the town, and that's what our intentions are. We really are there as business owners just to create a better opportunity for tourists and as well job opportunities. We take pride in, offering, high paying positions and being able to support the town. So I think it's taken a minute, probably 3 years before we really have that solidified relationship with the town to say, we have the best interests and we're aligned with you.
Well, I like the way you put that. And as you were talking, I was thinking, often we use the term so my job as the economic development director for the county and for Cedar City is to kind of be that liaison between business and between the government, right? And I always tell people that I'm like the C3PO. So businesses, if you're trying to understand what the engineers and planners and administration are trying to do, talk to me and I'll translate for them and for you and vice versa. And so often it feels like pushback for small business owners. But the truth is, and I like the way you were describing that, it's more trying to see, well, okay, the town is trying to understand what your intent as a business owner is and what you're trying to accomplish. And you're trying to understand as a business owner. Most small business owners haven't had to deal with getting, building permits or things. A lot of them are experiencing that for the first time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's also you trying to understand, okay, what exactly are they trying to accomplish here, right? And I like the way you phrased that, working together to better the community, to better the town. And to me, that's really what small business is about, right? I mean, part of owning business is, sure, you're providing for your needs, for your family. We work to live. I've said this on this podcast before, work to live, not necessarily live just to work, right? And so if we can make our jobs something that can bring people together to enhance the community, enhance the quality of life, that's what I really love about what you're doing with this ice rink. I mean, you didn't just buy the mall. And for those listening, when we say mall, we're talking in terms of like small town mall. So like
it's a tiny strip mall is really what you would call it. There's, 6 businesses all facing the street.
It's 2 stories, right?
Well, the second story is residential condos. But,
is it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like a strip mall, but a very small strip mall. It's not like interior walking through shops and that kind of mall.
So there you've got the general store, right? So tell a little bit about the general store and then maybe give some shout outs to some of the tenants there.
Yeah. So general store, it was started by the previous owners in 2011. So by the time that we bought it, it had, several years under its belt, which was really good for us, but meant that it also needed an update. And so we came in and we remodeled it very quickly and gave it a fresh look. It's a lot more modern. It's always been the biggest grocery store in town. Also has the biggest souvenir selection. And so it's a great supporter of the town. Tourists love us, and we have everything you need from, like I said, a souvenir, but you could also find dinner there. You can everything you need to cook a meal of spaghetti or tacos or whatever that might be.
Milk
if you're
and
staying,
eggs.
Milk and eggs, diapers, just the essentials. It's not just a gas station where you have candy and
it's
and
not
snacks,
just a convenience store.
but we have all of that as well. So it's pretty complete as a grocery store. We even carry Dry Lakes Meat, who's a really
out of Parowan.
out of Parowan, which is they just took 7th in the nation for their beef. So
that's cool. I didn't know
we
that.
carry their beef and we try to be quality, but we are also trying to be convenient. So it's definitely hard to keep our prices down, but we're trying to offer as much as we can. So, there's always some give and take there. So, but the mall itself, it also has the longest standing business in the building, which is Pisano's. They've been there since, I believe, 2003.
Okay.
So I think they've been there over 20 years.
And what's their business? Why don't you
Pisano's
describe
Pizza. So they're just a pizza joint where they serve anything from pizza, but they also have pastas, salads, subs. You can go in and get some really good wings that they're really well known for.
Nice.
And they always have a baseball game or a sports game playing, and you can get a soft drink or beer or whatever you need there. The newest restaurant in town and in our building is at the end of the building. It's Rosales Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
So they're young and hungry to improve and be there and support the town with good Mexican food. So they're really, really nice family, and you can go in and support them with their meals. And then we also have a cafe that's on the other end of the building, which is, it's got everything from ice cream, your coffee in the morning. They have cold cut sandwiches, hot sandwiches, and a couple of salads. And it's just a nice little breakfast spot all the way through lunch. And then on the weekends, they're open all day, and they'll serve dinner as well. So that's a great little cafe there. And, other than that, the other businesses in our building are the High Country Real Estate Office, which is the mecca of real estate in Bryan Head and Parowan. There, if you have any needs for real estate,
Do they focus
agent,
a lot on cabins and things like that out that way?
Yeah. They just are, they've, been a part of the sell and build and process of most cabins in the area. So
cool.
If you need property or a cabin, then High Country Real Estate, they've been there a long time. They know Bryan Head like the back of their hand. So their main office is in the mall. If you ever, are interested in property up in Bryan Head.
Yeah.
So those are all the businesses within, the mall itself that you can visit and interact with.
So you said that you were planning on, and you've started phase 1 of expanding. Mm-hmm. How many square feet is the building right now for all the commercial space?
The commercial space, I believe, is like 10,000 square feet.
On that bottom floor?
On the bottom floor. Yeah, I believe it's about 10,000 square feet.
Okay.
And we're going to be adding 6,000 more of commercial space.
Okay. Do you have a specific vision or thoughts of what you want to do with that space, or tenants already lined up?
Yeah. So there's going to be a half basement. So right between the ice rink and the mall is where that addition's going. And so there's going to be like a half basement level that'll be lower to the street, that it will be the new ice skating commercial space, so that you can just walk straight from the ice rink or straight from the retail space onto the ice rink. Because currently the mall sits above the ice rink, and you kind of have to walk down some stairs. So there'll be an ice rink space, and then we'll be adding a new restaurant and potentially a new retail space as well.
Oh, okay,
so,
cool.
More food and better access to the ice rink is really the goal for that addition.
Are you thinking a retail space that you'll just have open for another business, or do you want to do clothing or
we've had a lot of ideas. You know, we haven't solidified anything. We really like the idea of offering something different on the mountain. You know, we have 2 ski shops. Well, 4 if you include the resorts ski shops themselves. So there's 4 ski rental places. There's and snowboard shops where you can get your snow gear and all that. But there's not really something for just your average person that's not up there skiing to just shop for something they like, you know. So we thought about maybe a boutique, you know, or more of like a clothing store for maybe the average wife that's in town where her husband, her son, and her daughter are up skiing, but she didn't want to ski. Is there a place that she can just go shop for, not a souvenir that, you know, has to say Brian head on it, but more of like a, you know, a new a pair of leggings or something, you know what I mean? Something that is,
or maybe something that you might
find,
find,
handbag or a watch or whatever that is. And so we've thought, you know, there's not really shopping in Brian Head other than shopping for snow gear or shopping for a souvenir. There's no shopping. And so we like to see something like that, whether we do it ourselves or someone else brings something like that into town, where we would like to see something like that. Or maybe, you know, a little spa area where you could get a pedicure or something like that, because there's really in Brian Head nothing to do inside. You know, there's ski outside. Even in the summer, it's mountain bike, hike, fish. Everything's outside, and so
I mean that's the MO for the town, right? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. But we need to offer something that is like, hey, come inside and either shop for a little bit or get a pedicure, or maybe an arcade where you can play some games. Yeah. You know, so any of those kind of ideas are things that we floated out there, and yeah. So we're just kind of in that phase. We're just trying to get it built right now. So.
Well, it's fun to kind of pick your brain and see kind of where you're thinking of going. And it's, you know, I always really admire people, entrepreneurs that are willing to kind of think beyond what they're just the status quo of what they're doing right now. And, you know, I think that's kind of the entrepreneurial mindset, right? Is not just looking at, I mean, sometimes it's, as a small business owner, it's easy to get caught up in just the month to month, but a good entrepreneur is thinking beyond the month to month. What are the other opportunities or opportunities within what you're currently doing, right? So with that said, I kind of want to go back talking about the ice rink. I mean, you were kind of describing it a little bit, but tell us. I watched some of your Facebook videos. You know, a little bit ago, the water, it wasn't quite setting, and then now it sounds like it's finally set. So walk through the process of what you have to do to set up an outdoor ice rink, and maybe any kind of fun or miserable stories of going through that process, because I'm sure it's just bitter cold doing that.
Yeah, I got plenty of those miserable stories. But yeah, like I mentioned before, we put it's a 150 foot long tarp by 100 feet wide, and we'll lay that inside the rink, but we have to custom fit it because we have the islands of trees. So we have to kind of cut, and we use like waterproof tape to patch it back together. And we make this custom tarp that we fill with about 8 inches of water.
Do you use multiples of those tarps? Because that space...
just one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just one, one really big tarp, but we have to cut it and then patch it back together. So, once we fill it with 8 inches of water, it depends on Mother Nature of how fast it freezes. This year, it's kind of been up and down warm, but we've also gotten snow. So it's kind of it's really hard to time, because if it snows before we lay the tarp, then we have to clear all the snow and lay the tarp. And then if we lay the tarp and then it snows, then we have to melt all the snow because we can't put our machinery on the tarp, it'll rip it up.
Right, yeah.
And so our only option is to take our fire hose that we hook up to the town fire hydrant and melt it all the way down to just like a slush, because slush freezes faster than pure water. So we'll take that snow and melt it down to like a big slushy. But that ends up leaving it really bumpy. So now we have hard, solid ice, but it's really bumpy. And so to get it smooth, we have to either add more water until it levels out, or we have to eventually get on with the Zamboni and drive on it. Our Zamboni weighs 10,000 pounds.
Oh, wow. And
so you asked about, maybe a horror story. Our very first year, we didn't know, how solid the ice is. We kind of drilled test holes, but when can you drive that 10,000 pound machinery onto the ice? You don't really know.
Right? No, is that right? 5 tons? Yeah. 10,000 pounds, 5 tons. Yeah.
So we're like, the first year we didn't really know, like, is the ice solid enough? And we're really pressed to get open. And so first year we're like, I think it's solid enough. We drove on the ice. We had a really great employee that used to work for the Cedar City ice rink. And he came up to work as our Zamboni driver that year because he had experience, and he was pushing back and, no, I don't think it's ready. I don't think it's ready. And me and my brother were like, we got to make it happen. Just drive her on. And it fell through 8 inches of ice. It sunk, and he was able to drive up out of it, trying to get off the ice. He's just trying to escape and fell again. Eventually got off the ice, but it was a lot of repairs to do and on the ice itself. Nothing happened to the Zamboni, but some repairs to do to the ice, and we ended up getting open for that first year. Either way, but yeah, so now we know you have to have really cloudy ice. If you can see through it at all, then it's not ready. Really?
You were talking about that you have some events that you have going on. Do you want to maybe talk about different events that you have going on through the year, winter, summer?
Yeah. So starting with summer, we have the Bryant Head Art Festival. It's been going for, I think, 32 years. It was started by the previous owners of our building, so we kind of inherited that, but we've grown it to see about 12,000 people this last year. And, it's just a really unique event where we have art vendors, crafts from anywhere from, knitted blankets to woodwork to high level paintings. And we'll invite them from the whole, general area. There's artists that come from Salt Lake, from Vegas, and we'll set them up. We had about 60 vendors this last year of art vendors, and then an additional like 10 vendors of, food and concessions and things like that. So we just set that up. We provide live music, and it's, in conjunction with 4th of July, where they'll have the fireworks on one of those evenings in Bryant Head, and there's just a lot of people. It's a lot of fun.
And about how many days does it go?
It's about 3, depending on the year, depending on when 4th of July falls. We've done it up to 5 days long.
Okay.
So yeah, we do that. That's our big one. We would like to push into more events for the summer. So, we might see a car show come in. We might see, maybe a big lumberjack, where they cut the trees down. That's kind of what we're pushing for. That might take a few years to find and be able to figure that out. But like, maybe we have a lumberjack event where they're cutting logs, or there's teams, sawing the law together, and that kind of a thing. We want to really push into more events in the summer.
That would actually be amazingly awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of been like the one thing on the top of my head. I just haven't figured out, how can we draw someone in to be able to do that event? Because that'll take, probably a third party to say, hey, come do one of your competitions here in Bryant Head.
I picture all these people wearing black and white or black, I'm sorry, red and black plaid,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
with axes and saws, just
Yeah,
chopping
yeah.
up, sporting a beanie like yours,
Yeah,
and just saying, that would actually be a really
and
funny
it would
event.
be real. I think that, like, as far as Iron County residents, it would be something they'd be super interested in going and watching. And so
get some prize money or something involved.
So I haven't figured out how to conquer that and make it happen, but those are the kinds of things that we want to see happen.
Yeah.
And in Bryan Head, and we're pushing for that. But we also do several winter events. We have Santa come in on the fire truck every year. We have the Grinch come skate on the ice, and there's a lot going on.
You do live performances, or do you do performances or something you were saying?
Yeah, every year we have an ice skating group out of Las Vegas. They're called Las Vegas Ice Theater, and they'll come perform. The last 2 years, it's been the Nutcracker.
Yeah, I thought I saw pictures that looked like kids in Nutcracker.
Yeah.
Costumes and stuff. That's really cool. Yeah, and I think you had mentioned previously maybe doing live music or something out there in the summer or something like that, or looking to maybe do something that.
Yeah, we kind of have the ice rink. So the ice rink in the summer, it's just surfaced as like a multi-purpose. There are pickleball courts on it. There's like shuffleboard. It's kind of like a sports court underneath the ice.
So it's concrete?
Well, it's asphalt, and then it has like the plastic grid sports court on top. And so it's a great little space that we haven't been able to do anything with just yet, but we want to, maybe do some live music out there, or any other events, and so maybe it takes a little bit of beautification around the rink, because it's kind of just raw dirt and terrain around the rink right now. But we kind of want to see maybe, landscaping it, maybe putting some grass around it and making it a little bit more of a comfortable kind of a mini event center space that, maybe live music,
just gathering place for the community. And for tourists. And, what's interesting is, a lot of our neighbors, and when I say neighbors, I mean neighboring tourist areas. So we got like Cedar Breaks Monument. We've got the Zion National Park, Kolob Canyon entrance. There's just a lot of things that are very summer focused. In fact, at the same time that you're opening for your ice rink, Cedar Breaks Monument is closing, because of snow, right? And so it's actually very complementary to one another. But it's funny because usually the off season is considered those winter months, but for Bryan Head, that is the season, right?
Yeah, I mean, summer's just as busy, but summer's only 2.5, 3 months long in Bryan Head because of the weather.
Right.
So the 2 to 3 months of summer, those 3 months, any given month is just as busy as any given of the 6 months of winter. So it's just, there's 6 months of winter and there's 2.5 months of summer. And so that's why winter's more important. 6
to 9 months of winter. And there's those weird like slush sessions in between. Those are the filler months.
Yeah, we call those the mud months, where it's just, it's either not enough snow to snowboard or ski, or too much mud to mountain bike, or too cold to mountain bike. And so we call those the mud months. Bryan Head's,
maybe need a mud month events. Maybe you call it, the mud month extravaganza.
Or we could even, we've even thought about having, like, trying to figure out a way to get the Tough Mudder event up there.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's great.
Yeah, those are the things that we want to push for, as we're really focused on getting our addition done, but we will also just as focused on getting more events up there. It's interesting because Bryan Head in the summer gets a lot of visitors in our condos in the hotel. The places to stay are full, but they're not always spending money at every one of the shops in Bryan Head because it's such a good place to stay and drive an hour and a half to Zion one day, then come back, stay another night. The next day you drive to Bryce. It's just such a central place. It's similar to Cedar City, that it's just so close to be able to go to so many national monuments and national parks and visit and get that really, good experience of Southern Utah, Red Rock. And so Bryan Head is up in the mountains and cool. It's 70 degrees in the summer. And so, you can go and do a blazing hot hike in Zion and then come cool off and stay in your condo in Bryan Head. So we're just trying to fill the gap a little bit where they're not always leaving Bryan Head. They're not every day it's Bryce, then Zion, then somewhere else. It's spend a full day in Bryan Head as well because there's this event going on or that event going on.
Right. Well, and you're talking about that boutique shop having more that makes visitors want to stay in the area, right? I mean, I was just looking at some visitation heat maps for Iron County and where a lot of visitors are coming from. And like, there are so many visitors coming from Vegas. Oh yeah. There's a lot of people from Vegas that, Bryan Head is the ski resort for a lot of these surrounding areas that aren't necessarily even in Utah. People from California even come and ski at Bryan Head, right? And so tell me from your perspective, what are some of your favorite things about the town of Bryan Head?
I think it's unique. There's not very many towns left in the States that is so raw and small and undeveloped as Bryan Head is. Like we get tons of Vegas and tons of California visitors and they just fall in love with it because it's doesn't have long lift lines for the ski resort. Maybe we don't have enough restaurants, but hey, they make it work and they'll come into the general store and they'll buy their stuff for spaghetti and they'll cook it in their condo.
And they got Pisano's now, the new Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
So we're getting there.
They're getting there. So it's just very unique. It's just so family oriented. Like there's, though it may appeal to a large crowd, but there's a large crowd of people that like that Bryan Head is so small, and there's not even a bar in town that's open past 10 o'clock. Like it's not a party town. Like it's not like Park City where it's just going all night, or someone coming from Vegas where they're used to that 24/7, city. Right. They come to Bryan Head and they have to settle down.
Well, and some people may hear that and think, well, then what's there to do? But the truth is, people are coming for that.
Exactly.
That's why we have so many visitors coming to Bryan Head.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why the Office of Tourism for Iron County is called the Cedar City Bryan Head Tourism Bureau is because the offerings that Cedar City and Bryan Head both have for the tourism community that they're familiar with are unique. It's a slower pace. It's a way to just connect with your family, connect with nature, and just get out of the hustle and bustle that seems to be everywhere else, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we still have to bridge the gap. Like,
sure.
I'm very pro development, and I think currently the town council of Bryan Head, the government there is pro development, and we want to see more, but we don't want to just become a Park City from one day to the next. You
want to grow smart, right?
Yeah. And there's, just so many people that appreciate what Bryan Head is now that a lot of people don't want to see it grow, at all, but it has to a little bit. And it has to, like I said, we have to bridge that gap a little bit, but we don't have to become these other big ski resorts like there are in Utah and Colorado.
Well, and you want to at least stay, not just keep up, but stay a little ahead of just the organic growth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, sometimes that's the fine balance with tourism is it really does help our economy here. It helps our small businesses. It helps even with just basic infrastructure in our towns, helps fund a lot of different things. For example, it is the tourism tax from hotel stays that pay for county and city events, that pay for stuff that the Office of Tourism does. A lot of the things that locals benefit from in our economy that we love so much is a benefit because of the tourism that comes here. So trying to maintain a good balance of that, right? And that's why I always tell people is planning is so essential in for the locals to say, here's how we want our town to look, right? And be engaged, right? And small business owners to be engaged. And that's what's great. That's why I was hitting on earlier, like that relationship that you have with the town of Bryan Head is so essential. So you're working together to enhance that quality of life and grow the town in a way that people are going to enjoy, particularly the locals, but especially when tourists come, that they want to stay in town. They'll want to enjoy all the amenities available to them. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's just that gap that we're trying to bridge that, cause there are just a few people that will come to town and be slightly disappointed in the lack of options of food, where we have great restaurants like Pisano's and Rosales and the Mountain Peak Cafe are great restaurants, but they'll sometimes have, a 2-hour wait on a pizza because they're at their capacity. And so, so that's why we're doing the addition and just trying to add a little bit more.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Well, and that's what, what you're trying to do is exactly what I was hitting on is you don't want to just keep up with growth. You want to stay just a little bit ahead of it.
Correct.
And you're not always going to please everyone, but Bryan Head is going to attract those who want that experience, right?
Yeah.
Who want to connect with nature. Like you were saying, most people are out and about, right? They're staying in maybe their hotel or their Airbnb in the area, and they're going out, they're adventuring, right? And and I don't know if anybody's like me, and I think a lot of people do react this way. After you spend a day skiing, all you want to do is like go sit down and veg and eat something warm and watch a movie or whatever, or just hang out with your friends and just chat it up. And, it's just, you want to create the complimentary experiences, right? It's almost like what you see like in the big box stores. You'll be going down the aisle and they have those end caps with products that have nothing to do directly with the products on the aisle you were just on.
Oh yeah.
But somehow the stores know that those things, that buyers who buy this product also tend to buy this product. And what I'm getting at by that comparison is similarly, the audiences that come and enjoy their stay at Bryan Head. And so, as a business owner, and that's exactly what you're doing, is you're looking and saying, okay, what are the things that are going to complement that experience after you spend a day out mountain biking? Like one of the things that after I go mountain biking, I love to just go get a burger or good Mexican food or something like that, right? Those are like a must for me. And so a lot of people are that same way. Yeah. So anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always just taking note if I go visit somewhere else, like what would I like to also see in Bryan Head? If I go to Lake Tahoe to go skiing, or if I go up north to go skiing or mountain biking, I try to think of that. Like when I'm done, what else do I like about this town, and what could we bring to Bryan Head that could complement it? But I also have to think, not everyone thinks like me. Sure. So I try to put myself in the shoes of other people, and what does, like I said, maybe the wife that didn't want to mountain bike or didn't want to ski, what does she want? 'Cause she's on vacation too, or maybe there's several times where we'll have families where one kid is skiing and the other kid isn't. So what does that other kid want? That's why we built an ice skating rink, because maybe one kid's not old enough to go skiing yet, but they're old enough to come ice skating. And so I always try to think like, what would I like? But I also try to think, what would these other people like?
So you said you grew up coming up here skiing, right? And so what are some of your favorite things at Bryan Head Resort, like your favorite runs or things like that? Why'd you always come to Bryan Head?
Well, being from Southern Nevada, the only other option was Lee Canyon, or back then it was Mount Charleston, which I just didn't even dare go to because I knew it was small and all man-made and whatnot. But I really got into snowboarding my junior and senior year of high school. I wrestled my whole life. I was really, really heavily into sports, and especially wrestling. But my dad, as my wrestling coach, was deployed to Iraq. So he wasn't there to be my coach my junior and senior year. And a lot of my friends were like, let's ski, let's snowboard. And so I did end up wrestling my junior and senior year, and every single weekend we drove up to Bryan Head.
Really? Just you and a bunch of teenagers?
Just me and a bunch of teenagers.
That's
we did
great.
it just cheap as possible. I didn't really know the town of Bryan Head back then, like I do now, because as a teenager, we just like packed a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
You know, we got our lunch money to pay for the gas, drove 2.5 hours from Logandale, Nevada to Bryan Head just to ski every weekend that we could, or during the holiday break, we would stay at my grandma's here in Cedar and drive up and down every day. But I had never even been into the general store or the mall before considering purchasing it, because as a teenager, when I was snowboarding and skiing there, I was just scraping pennies and getting up there to enjoy it. And so, that's, my experience with Bryan Head before being a business owner there was like, really, it was just riding the runs and learning that mountain like the back of my hand. I've skied and snowboarded there so much that it doesn't always have enough to give me. And so now I have a snowmobile and I'll drive and I'll do like backcountry stuff. And because I've ridden those runs so much. But
so what are your favorite runs there?
Yeah, I would say my favorite chairlift is Chair 5. Okay. Chair 5 has a lot of, fun powder, and that's kind of who I am. I like to be in the fresh stuff.
What is it unique about Chair 5 when you
Chair 5 is a lot less groomed and a lot more backcountry style runs, tree runs.
Cool. That's the stuff I like.
Some double black diamond stuff over on Chair 5. It's not as populated in lift lines. Like you ski down Chair 5 and you can ride into the chairlift. Like you can like not even unstrap your snowboard and like slide in and get on again. And so that's what's really fun about Chair 5. But more recently, like I grew up, biking, like more like BMX biking and things like that. But more recently, my favorite thing about about Bryan Head is summer mountain biking.
Really?
Getting into mountain biking now, coming from like BMX as a kid, I just love mountain biking, and there's some amazing trails.
Do you throw it on the lift at all? Do you do any of that?
I do the lift
I've never done the lift before.
It's great.
I've always said if there was an only downhill mountain biking race, I'd be all over it.
You don't have to pedal all on Bryan Head if you don't want to. And you can just ride the lift and have fun on the way down. It's very rowdy, very like old school mountain biking. That's the way
I like it.
It's very like chunky. You're not going to find like super, super groomed trails. But then you have, 3 really, really good Forest Service trails in Bryan Head that, George's ski shop will shuttle to those. And so they'll pick you up and drop you off, and you can almost, not pedal on those too, because there's one that's 13 miles of downhill. There's another that's 11 of down miles, and another one that's 9 miles of just downhill fun, rowdy mountain biking. So,
I like the way you phrase that, rowdy mountain biking.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's how I remember mountain biking before there was these hyper groomed trails and stuff.
So if I were to pick one thing, just kind of my personal likes about Bryan Head, is the mountain biking. That's just what I personally enjoy the most, aside from the Chair 5 and the powder and stuff like that. I've just had so much of that throughout my life, and then I've kind of more recently gotten into mountain biking that I'm just in love with mountain biking right now in Bryan Head.
That's cool. Well, okay, to kind of bring it in and wrap up a bit here. So tell me what's your hope as the business owner now? I mean, we've talked about some of the future things you want to do and everything. What are you hoping for in the long term for your ice rink, for the town of Bryan Head, and for what you're trying to accomplish? And then talk a little bit about your hopes for the future, and then tell people how they can find you, web address, all that kind of stuff, and anything else you want to throw out at us.
Sure. I mean, our future goal is to to give the tourists a better experience, continually improving each one of our businesses. Eventually we want to have chillers on the ice rink. It's naturally frozen, so we're only allowed to be open 3 months. Hopefully, if we get a chiller system, we can be open for 6 months. And we want to continue to offer the best selection of grocery in the store, the best selection of souvenirs. Like we talked about, I want to be able to offer maybe some other shopping options or some other indoor entertainment. We still own half an acre of land. And so whether that's partnering with someone or doing it ourselves, we would like to see an event center built there, and being able to offer indoor entertainment. That's, I think, our biggest goal, is to be able to offer something indoors for people, because even though Bryan Head attracts the outdoor person, everyone wants to relax inside. Like you mentioned, after you kind of just want to finish skiing and go sit down and watch.
Well, and I love skiing, or, getting a burger or pizza or whatever, and live music. There's just something so synergetic, and I love the atmosphere of live music, and you're just chilling, you're chatting it up, it's just so fun. That indoor. So that's what I meant by that end cap on the aisle at a big box stores. How do you end cap it for the tourists, right?
I think it's just that indoor entertainment. And so that's our number one goal. It's probably the furthest out goal to try and fully achieve, I think, but we can start small by adding another little shop that allows them to come in, or a place that you can get a pedicure. I mean, I would get a pedicure after skiing, and your legs are sore and whatnot, get a calf massage. Sure. And so offering those types of things. And then, that's our vision and our goals and why we're there. I don't plan on ever being stagnant up in Bryan Head. I'm not that kind of person where I'll get the business to a profitable and healthy level that I'm like, okay, let me ride it out for retirement. If it gets to that point, then I'm not going to be running it myself anymore, and I might hire some people and I'll do something. I'll find another business venture. I'm not going to be stagnant. I'm not going to ever just ride the wave. And neither would my brother as my partner. And so, we're there, we're hungry, and we're pushing for more. So, for the Bryan Head Ice Rink, it's open from 4 to 9 p.m. every day of the winter. You can find us at bryanheadice.com, or our social media pages. We have promotions going on all the time. If you follow our social media, then we'll throw out discount codes and things like that. We always offer a local, like this is a local podcast. We offer a local Cedar City discount. It's hard. We're in a tourist town. Bryan Head is a ski resort. And so our prices are a little bit higher, but we significantly discount that for anyone that lives in Iron County, Garfield County, Beaver, and we even have a St. George discount. So it's that's something always available.
So when you go to skate there, you just whisper the code word for Iron County.
You
right?
Say I live in Iron County, and we don't do it. We're very trusting, so we don't ask everyone. But every once in a while, can you show me your license, and I'll have their address, and that's So we just kind of do that randomly, just to kind of make sure we're not getting taken advantage of. But we trust everyone, and so just by saying, hey, I'm a local, we'll give you that 25% discount.
That's awesome. And you do season passes too.
We do season passes, and that as well. We'll give 25% off on that. And then as far as finding us, in the general store, we have a social media and things, and we'll kind of show you our new products if you ever want to follow that page. But it's just right there in the mall. It's 259 South Village Way. That's the heart of the town. It's right next to Giant Steps ski lift, and we're right there. We're there for your grocery and your souvenirs and any other needs you have.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Kade Bryant, with the Bryan Head Ice and General Store. We're so glad to have you on. And if you're in Bryan Head, you're skiing, go check it out. And hopefully you'll run into Kade and say hello.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kade. Appreciate it.